All right, let's dive into a part of history you might not know a lot about. We're talking about Francisco de Montejo, and well, he tried to conquer the Yucatan Peninsula, that area in Mexico, with all those amazing Mayan ruins.
Yeah, and it's really not your typical Spanish conquest story. It's one of ambition, resilience, and a conquest that took decades, not just days.
We got some excerpts here from a text about Montejo and this campaign. And it's not a simple story of victory. So who was Francisco de Montejo?
Well, unlike a lot of the soldiers seeking fortune in the New World, Montejo was born in Salamanca, Spain. It was a city famous for its university.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he comes from a background of knowledge and scholarship, and he shows a life of conquest.
Interesting.
It really shows how appealing the New World was and the ambition it created in men like him.
So he had this drive, this ambition, and he got his first experience with conquest alongside Hernan Cortés, the guy who conquered the Aztecs.
Exactly. That experience with Cortés was really important. It was like a training ground for Montejo. It showed him the tactics, the brutality, the determination needed to conquer a powerful civilization. And with that experience, he went for the Yucatan. But, conquering the Maya was a completely different challenge.
And it didn't go as well as he planned.
No. In 1527, Montejo landed in Cozumel, an island off the Yucatan coast, and he started moving inland towards Chichen Itza, one of the biggest Maya cities.
Right.
The Maya were ready for him, though. They knew the land, they were great warriors, and they absolutely crushed Montejo's forces. They had to retreat back to Mexico.
Wow. Round one to the Maya then. But Montejo didn't give up, did he?
Oh, he was persistent. In 1531, he tried again, this time launching from Campeche on the Yucatan mainland. And again, fierce resistance from the Maya.
Really?
The second defeat showed a big problem with his approach. He underestimated the Maya, their fighting ability, their knowledge of the jungle, how much they wanted to defend their land.
So 2 strikes and he was out.
Not quite. But these defeats made Montejo make a big decision. He realized he couldn't lead this conquest himself anymore. So he turned to his son, Francisco de Montejo, El Mozo.
El Mozo. Wait, does that mean the youngster?
Yeah, it does. And it gets even more interesting. El Mozo joined forces with his cousin, who they called El Sobrino, the nephew. So now it's a family thing, with the younger generation leading the conquest.
Wow, keeping it in the family. So what happens with El Mozo leading? Did he succeed where his father failed?
He did, but it was a long and difficult fight. In 1542, after many battles, El Mozo founded Mérida, right on top of a Maya city called To. Think about what that means.
Oh, yeah.
A Spanish city built on the ruins of a Maya city.
A real statement.
Yeah, it was a powerful statement of domination.
Wow. So after years of fighting, the Spanish finally took control of the Yucatan. It sounds like the Maya really made them fight for every inch of land, though.
Oh, definitely. The Maya resistance is really important to this story. They weren't just victims. They used what we call guerrilla warfare tactics now. Hit-and-run attacks.
Yeah.
Ambushes. Using the dense jungle to their advantage.
Right.
And they kept rebelling for over 20 years. They were incredibly resilient against a powerful enemy.
Yeah. That really changes how we usually think about conquest. It wasn't just a one-sided victory. The Maya fought back hard.
And the cost of the conquest was huge. Thousands of Maya died. Many from European diseases they'd never been exposed to.
Oh, yeah.
Hundreds of Spaniards died, too. In the fighting and from the harsh environment, this wasn't a clean victory. It was brutal and bloody.
It's amazing to think about them fighting for so long against all that. But even when the Spanish took control, I bet there were still problems, right? The Yucatan's pretty rough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And this is where the story gets almost mythical. There are all these legends mixed in with the history of Montejo and the conquest, like reality and myth together in the Yucatan jungle.
Ooh, I like that kind of history. What kind of legends?
Well, there's the curse of Chichen Itza. Remember how Montejo first tried to conquer there? Some stories say that he tried to use Chichen Itza as his base. But weird stuff started happening. The Maya just kept attacking, and Montejo had to abandon the city. So was it a curse, a Maya trick, or just bad luck? It adds another layer to the story.
Yeah, that's a little creepy. Anything else? Any more good legends?
Oh, yeah. There's the story of Montejo and the jaguar. But not just any jaguar. They say that during one battle, a Maya shaman made a jaguar appear to protect his people. Scared the Spanish. Whether it's true or not, it shows how connected to nature the Maya were and how much they resisted.
That's incredible. Like they were fighting on a whole other level, physical and spiritual. But Montejo wasn't just about brute force, was he? He used some smarts, right?
You're right, he was a good strategist. Like, he made an alliance with the Chimaya. They were rivals of the Itza, who were strongest around Chichen Itza.
Ah, classic divide and conquer.
Exactly. Use what's already there to weaken your enemies.
So after all the fighting, the deaths, the problems, and the legends, Montejo and his son finally conquered the Yucatan. But what about Montejo himself? Did he just ride off into the sunset, rich and famous?
Well, that's the funny thing. Montejo went back to Spain in 1549. An old man, not even the governor of the Yucatan anymore. He died in 1553, back in Salamanca. He never really got what he wanted. History is rarely a simple success story.
Wow, a sad ending to such a long, crazy journey. So after decades of fighting, all those deaths, what does Montejo's conquest mean in the end for the Yucatan and the Maya people?
Well, for the Maya, it was a turning point. They weren't independent anymore, although their culture and resistance continued for a long time after that. The cities Montejo founded, Mérida and Campeche, that really changed the region, how it developed its culture.
Right.
But we can't forget that this victory was really costly. So many lives lost, a whole culture changed. Montejo's legacy is complicated. It's a mix of violence, ambition, and the strength of the Maya people.
Really makes you think, huh? About how things from so long ago still matter today. Montejo's ambition, it really changed the Yucatan for everyone.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, what would this story sound like from the Maya side? You don't
Yeah.
hear their voices much in the usual history books. How would they tell it? The battles, the losses, the resilience, all the changes. We need to think about that to really get the whole picture.
That's a good point. History is usually told by the winners. But we have to try and find those other stories, those hidden perspectives. They can really change how we understand things.
Right. And Montejo, he's a fascinating guy, right? Not a typical hero, but a complicated person driven by ambition, like others in his time. He did conquer the Yucatan, but it cost a lot. And in the end, it seems like he didn't find what he was really looking for.
It makes you wonder, did he ever think about his choices, the sacrifices, what he did to the Maya? We see these historical figures as larger than life, but they were people too, with doubts and desires, regrets.
Exactly. History isn't just dates and battles, it's about people. Real people, making decisions that change things, even centuries later.
So for everyone listening to our deep dive into Francisco de Montejo and the conquest of the Yucatan, what do you hope they'll remember?
I hope they want to learn more about the Maya, their amazing culture, how strong they were even when facing conquest, and to think about how complicated history is, the different sides of the things that are still with us today.
I like that. Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you with one last thing to think about. What if Montejo had found all that treasure he was looking for? Would it have changed anything for him? Could he have thought it was all worth it then? No easy answers there. But it's something to consider as you learn more about the Maya and what happened during the Spanish conquest. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.